so much fun. So now how could we both forget? Telling each other we're the one. We would make love at the drop of a hat. Remember that? Yeah. I remember you and me, closest in it two can be. Now we're strangers in the night, awkward in the tight. Oh baby, do you wanna make it better? Do you wanna stay together? Hey, if you do, then let's please make some new memories. When you take
KBLA Top
somebody for your
1580. It's a Black Marriage Monday, y'all. I love that song. If you do, then let's please make some new memories. Sounds basic, harder than it sounds. Joining us this Black Marriage Monday is the founder of the Thomas Talent Agency in Los Angeles. It's a Black woman-owned firm representing actors in film and television. She's now retired. She represented big name talent along with character and commercial actors, and along with me, myself, my former agent. But she's also one of the most happily married persons I know. Venus Thomas, good morning.
Good morning, Dominique. How are you?
I'm blessed. How are you doing?
I am doing really good.
So how long exactly have you and Mr. Leroy Thomas been married?
53 years. I can't believe
Wow.
how it has flown and how much fun we're having. And now we're settling into that part of our life where we are so comfortable and so happy. We feel so blessed. I mean, we have had a wonderful journey, and it's still continuing, and we still feel good, and we're best friends. We're around each other. I mean, we're together all day. I'm retired. He still works, but he works from home, but he works at a job that he loves. So it's not like work. He doesn't. He's like, I'm not going to retire because he can do what he's doing from home, and he enjoys it. And I love being retired, so that's a perfect match. We have our meals together every day. I mean, it is such a blessing, to have somebody that's at your back like that.
You guys, obviously, you're both African American. We can't see you, but you guys still have romance in your marriage. I mean, you guys still go watch the sunset together.
Yes, that is, it's like my husband will get he goes in and looks at the times when the sun will go down at where, it'll be a pretty sunset. And we have this place by the beach where we get us a little snack, maybe a mini pizza or something, and we drive over and we sit there and we watch the sunset. I mean, it's the most beautiful thing, and it's like we get excited to go. And we've been doing this for, our life, and it's something that is, for us to be as old as we are and to be excited about, oh, let's go watch the sunset tonight. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what a beautiful thing to be in sync with another human being that enjoys something that is just, it costs nothing. It's a beautiful thing, and it's something that you enjoy, that you both enjoy, and you get a kick out of it. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. 5 decades in, because we always think about falling in love and the romance, and then people get sick of each other. I think all of us have been around married couples who are bickering and they act like they don't even like each other. How do we avoid that trap and 53 years in be watching sunsets and going out to special dinners together like you guys do?
Well, you know what? I think a lot of it has to do with us really. We had a friend tell us one time, we were sitting at the table talking, and the friend, he stopped and he said, you know what? You guys are friends. You guys are really friends. I mean, it dawned on him that it was just a good friendship. And I think that that's the basis of it, because you fall in love with someone, but if you're not friends and you don't have the same goals, and that was another thing. Before we got married, we only went together for 6 months, but before we got married, we still discussed what kind of thing, we wanted a home, we wanted certain things. So we were on board with each other from the beginning. And if you start out and you have a lot of angst in your marriage or a lot of angst in your relationship, I don't know if that's a good fit. We started out really, really joyful and excited about each other and about the journey that it would be, and not having a clue what was ahead of us. We were ready. We were ready to take it on, and ready to. Each person takes on in the relationship. He takes on the things that he's best at, and I take on the things that I'm best at, and we automatically know that. And we will sit down and discuss. Okay, you do this part of the marriage, and I do that part of the marriage, and so it syncs. It's not like we're arguing or at each other's throats about things, and that's what you have to solve in the beginning, and not wait until you get married and start fighting.
You guys only went together for 6 months. And now you've been married 53 years. So when you say you figured out right away what worked and what didn't, give me an example of the kinds of things you decided in those 6 months that have lasted for 53 years.
What I think is that both of us came into the marriage with some life experience. Like, I was 25 years old. Okay, he was 26. So we both had, I don't know if that's considered young now or older, but at that period of time, a lot of my friends had gotten married right out of high school or college or whatever. So they started right in. But we had some relationship experience. So when we came together, we knew what we didn't want. So, even if we didn't know what we did want, we knew what we weren't going to put up with, or what kind of relationship we didn't want to have. And so we synced on those levels. It's like, we worked it out over the years, but I think we had the plan all lined up by the 5th year. The first 5 years were, learning each other and putting stuff together and buying a home and doing things like that. And then we settled into the glory part of it, where it's like, okay, so this is what it's like. And you kind of, you come to the table and you sit down and you discuss everything. You don't walk around. And we've never, ever, ever said anything negative or hurtful to each other. And see, that's what we've never cursed at each other. There's a line of respect. And if you both don't have that, then you got a problem.
Yeah. Well, I remember you gave me the example one time of grocery shopping. That's something you just don't like to do. It seems like a simple thing. It's the kind of thing that folks could end up arguing about, but you guys made an agreement early on in the relationship.
Yeah. And my husband does the groceries. I make the list. And before he goes, we talk about it. And then he will go to the supermarket, and then he'll call me and say, I got this and this. Which one do you want? Which brand do you want? Or something like, it's like we're in constant communication. And even when, like I said, he works from home, and when he goes out in the field, and we're talking on the phone. I mean, he's driving to wherever he's, his next destination, and I am talking to him on the phone. So we're always open to each other, and we want to talk to each other. So, that makes a big difference, that, you want to be around that person and talk to that person all the time.
Venus Thomas is sharing the secrets and not so secret things that make her 53-year marriage work so very well. It's a Black Marriage Monday on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
All the women who independent, throw your hands up at me.
This March, we're turning up the volume on the women who changed everything. KBLA Talk 1580 is proud to celebrate Women's History Month, honoring the trailblazers, truth tellers, and game changers who shaped our world, our culture, and our community. From the freedom fighters to the firsts, from the boardroom to the front lines, from the unsung to the unforgettable. All month long, we're celebrating the stories, the voices, and the conversations that remind us that women, Black women, have always led the way. Don't miss a moment. This is our moment. This is our story. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580, Los Angeles' home for the conversations that matter.
I'm your girl, you're my girl, we your girls. Won't you know that we love you?
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Angela was. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $80,000. Felicia was having health problems, got behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consultation and real tax relief. Call 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257.
My name is Tyrone Owens, and this is my home for 23 years that burned in the fire. Me and my wife, Charlene, we had this whole yard decorated every year.
This was the house that sparkled throughout the entire neighborhood on all the holidays. It's a community that will never be the same due to the negligence of a utility company. So I am pretty upset about that.
We were nowhere near being able to rebuild with our insurance. It's going to cost $1 million to put your house back up.
I want to get back to that point where we were before the fire. I'm starting to get emotional, but I'll work through it. LA Fire Justice has been wonderful for us. They're just caring people. We have all faith in them.
Big ups to LA Fire Justice, who's given us hope to rebuild 100%.
Advertisement. Douglas Foster, 221 East Walnut Street, Suite 100, Pasadena, California, 91101 is the attorney responsible for this ad.
LA Fire Justice is proud to sponsor Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Absolutely do appreciate you waking up with us. And we're waking up to Black Marriage Monday. Leroy Thomas has been happily married for 53 years, something most of us will never, ever get to say. And some folks listen, they may assume that your husband is a wallflower or sort of a pushover. Oh, well, he goes and does the grocery shopping for her. What Dina says goes. But your husband is a big, tall, strapping, muscular, not a wimpy guy at all.
He's a big guy, and he is sort of he's bald-headed now, so people would call him intimidating. But he is the nicest guy. He's the good cop. I'll put it that way. He's the good cop. He's but he's a good man, and that's what you have to look for in a partner. Look for a person that basically has good ideas, that their ideals, how they feel about life, how they feel about what they want to do with their life. If they have those basic good instincts, and I'm not saying that I knew all this at the time, but I'm saying that the men that I met before him did not display what he showed me. I mean, he showed me like, whoa, everybody's not like that last guy I was with, and so he showed me a different thing that intrigued me, like, oh my goodness, he's not, he's a big guy, and he's not mean, he's he doesn't try to, he's not insecure. I think that's what it was. He was never, ever insecure about who he is. And that is very important, because if you're with the male or the female, either one of you is insecure, then it's a hard pull. But if you are both on really good ground, or you work together to get there, because that's another thing. Problems that have come up in our marriage, we put it on the table. We sit down and we discuss it. You can't walk around thinking one thing about the person and, him not knowing, and you got this anger building up in you because you're upset about something. You got to talk about it. You got to sit there and you got to talk it through. Or if you're too, upset to do that, know that, well, I can't talk to you right now. And that's the other thing you put on the table. Okay, we can't talk right now. Wait until we settle down, which is usually better. You settle down, and then you can have a good, conversation. But if you're going to just be arguing and yelling at each other, that's not good at all. So you got to be smart enough to know this, this is not working. Okay, you go your way and I'll go mine in the house, and that's another thing. We don't, he doesn't leave the house and stay gone for hours or days or anything like that. We work it out. We're in this together, we're stronger together, and we know that.
You said that he's the good cop, and I think you were partly referring to your own, I don't want to call it temper, but you're spirited. You're a very spirited woman.
Yeah.
And
well, I put it out there right away. I'm up front, and there's no hidden agenda. It's like exactly who I am and everything. And I don't have like when we have arguments with bill payers or anything like that, I'm the one, he sicks me on them, because I'm the one who will get in their face or, no, this is not right, and you got to take care of that and everything. And whereas he's more laid back about it, not that he doesn't care, it's just that he has a different demeanor. He's just not high fire, like me. It's like, I'm like, what? What did he say?
Right, and you've told me off
like
the air that he loves your fiery nature, but you've also told me there comes a certain point where it's time to stand down and just listen to your husband.
I know, me and my daughter, it's so funny because like we can, mess with him and harangue him or whatever. And when he gets to a point where he don't want to be bothered, it's like we both look at each other like, oh, okay, he didn't like that. He's like, he don't play, and we know. But see, you know that about each other. And you can pretend that you don't, but when another person reaches their breaking point. Okay, back off. Don't just push it. Don't push, like if you're in an argument or something and that other person, you see them go over the ledge a little bit, then back off. Don't like push that person to do something or say something that they'll regret. Just kind of like, okay, it's better to back away and let that simmer than to just push each other to the breaking point. So yeah, we kind of know where his breaking point is, and we don't, we back off.
Yeah, Iyanla Van Sant, I think, says, "Would you rather be right or would you rather be happy?"
Exactly. That is so true.
What other rules do you guys have? You do he does the grocery shopping. You deal with the bill collectors. What other rules do you have? You don't cuss at each other. You don't disrespect each other. What other rules do you guys have in marriage?
I don't know. We just kind of enjoy each other. We enjoy being around each other. It's like we're never far from each other or talking to each other. I think things have been pretty set because it's been such a long period of time. I think we had to build the rules in the beginning to where when you got to know a thing about a person, then you knew it, But until we reached that point, we were working it out. But now everything is kind of like smooth. I can't really think of what, and not to say that we don't have fallings out now, but it's more about just giving each other the silent treatment and, going about our way until both of us calm down. We don't even have to say it. It's like, okay, this is not going to work right now, and just walk away, But it's because it's not like all roses, but it's whether or not you want to work it out, whether or not you can come to the table with this person and sit down and say, we have so much. And I think about all of the life that we've lived. We've traveled. We've done things. We've been places. We set our life up to, okay, what are we going to do? We try to take a big trip every year, like an international trip. We try to do things that both of us enjoyed. And the funny thing is we both enjoy doing the things that we do, So that's another thing you have to take into consideration. If this person doesn't like doing a thing, it's like, say, if he wanted to always go to ball games and I didn't really want to go to ball games, and that, then you got to work that out. You don't just go and do that for 20 years and say, well, I always hated then turn around and tell him, well, I always hated going to those ball games. What? You got to reveal that as you go along. You got to talk about, well, I really don't like that. Put it out there, and then you two together can work it out. Okay, what don't you like about it? Well, what can we do to fix that? Well, then, okay, let's don't do that. Let's do this together. What do we like to do together? And the other person is not really like, I'll do it because he wants to. You do it because it's something that you both want to do, and that takes working out. But a lot of people don't have that communication. See, that's the big thing. You got to communicate. You have to communicate with your partner always, all the time. And even when things are rough, there have been times, sparse times. There was a time when he didn't have a job. He lost a job. He was a basic salary, and he lost a job like for 3 years. And guess what? We made it. And I look back at that, and I don't remember. I'm sure it was a struggle. I don't remember what it was exactly because we worked it out. We just worked it out and said, okay, this is what we got to do, and what's the next step? And I'm sure it was scary, And there was a time in the marriage that I didn't work for years. I thought I wanted to be an actress, so I wouldn't pursue that for 6 years. But that was something he had to support me in because I had to quit a good job to say, okay, I want to go into acting. And I figured out acting didn't work, and I said, okay, I'll open a talent agency. And he supported me with that. So it's like I had his complete support and confidence. And he has my support and confidence when he went out on certain ventures. So, but that's something that you got to talk about.
I remember one thing that you told me, which is that you did not let either one of your families or friends come in between your communication.
And you know what? I find that a lot of marriages are disrupted because of in-laws. We never once allowed any of our in-laws to have any say-so or you don't have anything to say about nothing, about, this is not open for discussion is what my husband told somebody once. My wife's not open for discussion. And you just lay it out there just like that. They don't get to come up in your face, and say, well, if I were you, I would do this. Oh my God. We look down on anybody. And see, that's one thing. You have to be secure enough with each other not to let another person's opinion of what you should do and should not do enter the realm. It should be both of you should agree and not come to the other and say, well, so-and-so said this. That person don't have no say-so, and you have to make that clear. And it has to, and a lot of time that's difficult for people because they're really close to their mother or their sister, and they depend on that person's knowledge. But when you guys become one, those people are on the periphery. They don't get to comment on your relationship, but you both have to be on that page. And we both had no problem with that. So we didn't have other people jumping up. But I know I talked to a lot of people where they said, well, my sister says this, or what? Why is she in your conversation? How did you have this conversation? Why would you take that to your sister, or why would you discuss that with your brother or your mother? This is between you guys. I think that's a big part of it. People, they want to talk about their business to others. And I think that that's okay, because you do have to have friends that help you solve situations. But there's a point to that. You can't let that lead into your relationship where it affects the decisions that you're going to make with your man.
Absolutely. Venus Thomas is my guest. It's a Black Marriage Monday. We've got news, traffic, and sports, then more, only right here.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. President Trump is threatening to completely destroy Iran's oil infrastructure, including Karg Island, if a peace deal isn't reached and the Strait of Hormuz isn't reopened.
I would say we're ahead of schedule on the ballroom. We're ahead of schedule with Iran.
President Trump says negotiations are ongoing, but warned military action remains on the table. A Chicago alderman says the city's new curfew ordinance got an early test after a teen takeover downtown. He says the scene was out of control until police enforced the curfew, quickly dispersing the crowd in under an hour. 8 teenagers were arrested. And Disney has announced its 2026 Legends class, honoring stars who've made a lasting impact. Lin-Manuel Miranda and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson are among this year's inductees. The ceremony will stream live August 16th on Disney+. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Now is the time to save on an award-winning Nissan at the Nissan Now sales event, featuring the Rogue, Pathfinder, Frontier, and more. Don't wait. These offers are going fast. Shop your Southern California Nissan dealers and NissanUSA.com today.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Congratulations to the UCLA women's basketball team. They advanced to the Final Four in the NCAA tournament for the second year in a row. UCLA overcame a sluggish first half to beat Duke 70-58 in the Sacramento Regional Final. 29 straight wins for the Bruins. They are 35-1. Lauren Betts scored 15 of her 23 points in the second half. The Bruins will play Texas or Michigan Friday night in Phoenix. The NCAA men's basketball Final Four is set. Illinois, Michigan, Arizona, and UConn. Lakers star Luka Doncic will serve a one-game suspension for tonight's home game against Washington. Doncic was hit with his 16th technical foul Friday night in the Lakers win over Brooklyn. The one-game suspension will cost Doncic $561,000. The Clippers beat Milwaukee Sunday 127-113. Benedict Mathurin had a game-high 28 off the bench. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We're at Doolin's on Crenshaw. It's a special place where the neighborhood comes together. Got the fried chicken, the catfish, the candied yams, the mac and cheese. It's all delicious. I'm Isaac Bryan. I represent the Crenshaw District in the California State Legislature, and I'm supporting Tom Steyer for Governor of California. California is under attack, and we need a fighter who's going to come in on day one and stand up for California values and push back. That person is Tom Steyer. Tom and I have been fighting together for the better part of a decade. Tom is the only candidate supported by smart justice, because Tom has stood on the front lines of racial justice, economic justice, and true solidarity. Tom is the real deal. He's the only candidate in the race with a comprehensive plan to make the billionaires and the corporations pay their fair share so we can fund things like universal health care and education. He means what he says, and he does what we need. This is a moment when we've got to fight fire with fire, and I believe that fire is Tom Steyer.
Ad paid for by Steyer for Governor 2026.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte. Less than 24 hours before a planned California governor's debate, USC and KABC Television Channel 7 pulled the plug after a week of growing outrage that not a single candidate of color had been invited to participate. USC says it was just math, polling numbers, fundraising totals, nothing personal. But here's the problem with that argument. Every one of the 6 candidates who made the cut was white, and every one of the candidates left out was not. At some point, the outcome is the message, regardless of the formula that produced it. The 4 excluded candidates, former U.S. Health Secretary Javier Becerra, former L.A. Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa, former State Controller Betty Yee, and State Superintendent Tony Thurmond, are not fringe figures. These are people who've won major statewide elections and served millions of Californians. Here's the deeper lesson. California is one of the most diverse states in the nation. Latino voters, Black voters, and Asian American voters don't just live here. We decide elections here. When the people organizing a debate about California's future build a stage that looks nothing like California, they're not just making a scheduling error, they're sending a signal about whose voice matters. Even some of the invited candidates called on USC to expand the field ostensibly because they understood what was at stake. That said, it is worth noting that none of the invited candidates had the courage to stand in solidarity with people of color and bow out of participating in the debate. But we'll leave that alone for now. Canceling the debate was not a victory, it was damage control. The real lesson is that diversity cannot be an afterthought in the criteria. It has to be baked into the thinking from the very beginning. Voters of color are not a special interest. We are the electorate. With the KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte. As always, we welcome your feedback.
They say time flies when you're having fun. The founding members cohort is now officially over. Hard to believe. It's been a joy sharing what I've discovered after nearly 40 years of conversations with presidents, cultural icons, and game changers in every field of human endeavor. If you missed the first cohort, the good news is that we're already planning the next one. Now the seats will be limited, and those on our waiting list will receive exclusive early access and special discounts not available to the general public. So, if you are ready to transform the way you connect, lead, and build trust, do not hesitate. Go to TavishTalks.com and join the waiting list today. That's TavishTalks.com. The next cohort is coming. Make sure you are in the room. I'm Tavish Smiley, and I hope to see you there.
Heard any other talk radio lately that sounds anything like this? We didn't think so. You're listening to Unapologetically Progressive, KBLA Talk 1580.
It's a Black Marriage Monday, so I thought I would bring on my friend, who is one of the most happily married people I know in the world. After 53 years with her husband, they are still going on romantic dinners, meeting each other for lunch, watching the sunset, and other amazing things. What about jealousy, Venus? Are you jealous? Is your husband jealous? How do you handle that?
I guess that was all handled years ago. I don't think, you know, we don't have those kinds of things happening now. I mean, we're in our 70s, so. But early on, I'm trying to remember, I probably would say that I would have been the more jealous person just because of my temperament. But I don't remember. And then that's another thing. If one of the other people are jealous in the situation, then you have to know that and not trigger that. You know, it's like it's one thing to have a jealous thread, but to be the other person and want to make the other person jealous, that ain't right. You can't do that, you know. So you have to know these things. Those are kind of things that you have to know about each other, and you have to respect the other person's boundaries. You don't goad them into being jealous or try to make them jealous or have those kind of petty, that's the kind of thing, you got to not enter your marriage having those kind of petty things that you would do to poke the bear. You know, you don't poke the other person with, well, I know he's jealous, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to make him jealous. Or, yeah, you know, there's, the reason I bring that up is because I know about incidences of people saying, yeah, you know, I knew what I was doing and I knew I was going to upset him. Why would you do that? You know, if you are going to be
I think people do it because they're insecure. They want attention or they want to prove that other people like them too.
Yeah, and how sad is that? It's like I think that you have to look at the bigger picture. You have to look at the thing that, well, I love this person and I want to be with him. So why would I do things that would hold us back? We're in it to win. That's the whole thing. We're both in it for the same reason. We want to win. And so if you're taking down your man or your man is taking you down, that's not winning. You know, how you going to win because you're out here fighting against the world. It's like you got so many other things to deal with than to be trying to upset each other. It's like you guys need to be on the same track. You need to be on the same, in your headspace. You have to get your headspace together and figure it out. And there's times where that's difficult. But if you don't talk about it, if you try to shine it on and say, well, I don't want to have that discussion, or, maybe not at that time, but discuss it. Discuss whatever is bothering you at some particular time so that you straighten that out. You don't want to go years in a relationship where there's something that's been bothering you and you couldn't bring it up, or you didn't bring it up, or I just, I don't care. I just let him go on. No, you can't have that attitude about it, because you got to think of, okay, what does this do to us? How are we going to get ahead by having something like this hanging over us? And so if you look at it as a team effort, and that's how I say about blocking out other friends or in-laws or other people. This is a team effort that me and you are going to be in this thing, and we are going to do some good things, and we're going to have some fun at it, and we're going to build a relationship. And if you're not in it looking at it that way, or think about looking at it that way, it's like get with someone who has those same kind of feelings about, I want to get with somebody that I can build a future with, a future that I can be proud of, a future that we can look back on. And it's like we have a daughter who's 49 years old, and she admires us. I mean, she is so she talks to me sometimes about her childhood and about things I don't even remember. You don't remember? Oh, yeah, we did such and such. Because we were in sync with her and raising her to be the best person that she could be, and not in, fighting and struggling and pushing and, you give the rule. I don't know. It just kind of fell into place. Who says this, or who takes care of that part of her growing up, and who takes care of the other part. And, it just became a thing where, he was the one who taught her how to ride a bike and tie her shoes, and because he has more patience and stuff. And I taught her the other things in life. So it's like it came together, and you build that. But you have to be on the same track. And again, that's about communication. You got to communicate.
But you also didn't even let her get in between the two of you.
Oh, yeah. And that was what we had to stop that, because, she, in the beginning, Dad was the easygoing one. And so she would try to go to him and, try to say, turn him so that he would be on her side. And so we had to stop that. I mean, we had to laugh about it, because it was like, we knew what she was doing, and so we had to put it down. It's like we couldn't let her get away with, going to him and him, them double teaming against me, or the other way around. So that's being on the same track in terms of communication. So we had to put that together too. And it's like, you don't get to do this. You don't get to, and so we shut that down right away. So the other person was able to identify, okay, now she came to me, and now I see what she's doing, but we can't let her work against us. A lot of people, their kids get in between them. And that's another, it's like the kids, the in-laws, the friends, nobody. It's you two as a unit. And you have to recognize that, and you have to set it out as, nobody else gets to say anything or pull us apart or make us change our mind. We make the decision about what we're going to do. We don't let, our kids or people that are close to us have any say-so in our relationship, in our marriage, and our decisions and what we do. And I think that's probably a strong order for a lot of people. You got to be in the headspace of saying, both of you have to be in tandem and say, okay, this is the way it's going to be. We're not going to let other people into our relationship, and period.
And you guys have gone so far as to cut off loved ones.
Lots of people
who were meddling.
Toxic people. You can't have toxic people in your life. Anybody who comes to you and says, oh, I wouldn't take that from him, or, oh, I wouldn't let him get away with that, or, anybody who steps out like that, it's like, that's not your friend. But you got to be big enough to recognize that and say, no, that's not a good relationship for me. And not just hang on to that relationship because, well, that's my friend. What is that? I mean, what do you want? You want a friend, or you want a marriage? You want a good marriage? What is it that you want out of the situation? And I think you have to keep constantly weighing that until you get it, until it gets into your head that, no, that is not going to happen. That is not going to happen. Nobody gets to say what or have any kind of say-so in what we do, what we think, how we build, how we grow, how we do the things that it's just between the two of us. And, a lot of people, they don't understand that. They want to bring in their family and friends, and they think it's okay to discuss their problems. And it is okay, but you discuss that problem with them, and you go and you make your own decisions. You don't come to your husband and say, well, so-and-so said we should do this. Or so. You don't do that. That's disrespect. You don't disrespect your partner. You have 100% confidence and 100%, you're behind each other. And that's the part. You got to work on each other. You got to blend into each other in a way that you both feel good. You feel good about, wow, I respect this about him. And he respects this about me. And we know our weak points. We know we back each other up on, okay, you're good at this and I'm good at that. And we don't try to step on each other. It's like, okay, I make the decisions about this, and then I go and talk to him, and then we say, oh, okay, well, let's figure it out together and work on it. Because there's a lot of stuff that comes up in marriage. But if you're not talking about it and you're not wrestling with it and dealing with it, and it doesn't even have to be a struggle. It just has to be a conversation, just a conversation.
Yeah, because one of the stereotypes, one of the truisms is marriage is hard. It's hard work. It's not going to be fun. But you guys make it look easy and fun.
I think it is fun for us. We have so many relatives that come to us for advice, for how to handle stuff, because they have seen that, and in the beginning we fell out with a lot of people because they were trying to get into our business, and we didn't talk to them or have anything to do with them. And then they saw, oh, they're doing good. They got a plan. Then they wanted to be a part of it. You know what I'm saying? It's like they want to be a part of the winning team. And so when you enter a situation with somebody where they're trying to advise you of what to do and everything, you got to take a side. Okay, I'm going to be with my husband on this, and you don't get to have any say so. And so you don't matter. And then they might get mad at you. They fall out with you and don't want to talk to you. Fine. You just go on and keep living your life. And then they look at that and say, oh, okay, well, then they knew what they were talking about. They knew what they were doing. And I think when you have that same mindset of supporting each other, defending each other, having each other's back, other people see that. And they admire it. I mean, they may not tell you that they admire it, but they see that and they say, oh, that works, and it will work if you it is not always going to be easy, but so hard is hard. you got to deal with that. I mean, you grow up and you learn things along the way. And I don't know at what point, but it's like you start to learn more and more, because if I had this wisdom that I have now, back in my, 30s or something, I say, wow, what would I have done with it? But I have no regrets, because we made the right decisions for us. We made the right decisions for us, and that's what it has to be about. Make the right decisions for the two of you in your relationship, and that's the difficult part. Once you guys work it out, nobody else, nothing else matters. Nothing else counts. Once the two of you come together and say, okay, this is what it's going to be, and no, she don't get to be in the relationship, or she doesn't get to have a say-so, or that person doesn't get, but you agree on it regardless of what side of the family it is. And you can't, like, hang back and say, well, yeah, but that's my sister, and nuh-uh. You going to go with your sister, or you going to go with your man? So there it is. You got to be on the same plane.
Talking with Venus Thomas, happily married for 53 years to her husband, Leroy Thomas. It's a Black Marriage Monday on KBLA Talk 1580.
More First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Created with a share of the 1984 Olympic Games surplus, LA 84 began operations in 1985 as a grant-making and educational foundation. Today, the LA 84 Foundation supports hundreds of nonprofit youth sports organizations throughout Southern California annually, trains coaches, commissions research, convenes conferences, and maintains the world's premier Olympic and sports library collection. They are transforming lives and communities through the power of youth sports. To find out about youth sports programs for yourself or your child, and to get information about the grants and support they offer to schools and nonprofits, or if you want to make a donation, please visit la84.org. That's la84.org. Or you can call them at 323-730-4600. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Getting around LA doesn't have to cost a lot. Metro has fares that fit every budget. 20 free rides for qualified riders through the Life Fare program. Free passes for students with GoPass, and affordable options for everyone in between. Wherever you're going, Metro's got you covered. Visit metro.net/fare programs.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project.
Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail, and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do you do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail, because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
What if your rooftop could earn you money every year? With LADWP's Solar Rooftops program, you can get solar panels installed and maintained on your home at no cost and earn up to $900 a year. That's up to $18,000 over 20 years. There are no upfront costs, no credit checks, and no annual fees. Plus, you'll help power Los Angeles with clean local solar energy and reduce reliance on fossil fuels. Make your rooftop work for you. Apply today at ladwp.com/solar rooftops.
He's the son of a school teacher and Navy veteran who built a company worth billions and walked away from it. Tom Steyer, pledging to give away half of everything he earned to charity and fight for Californians. So when out-of-state corporations weren't paying their fair share of taxes, Tom Steyer led the fight for Prop 39 and won, earning California billions of dollars for our schools. Tom took on Big Oil to stop them polluting our air and water and smash them. Tom fought for free school lunches so no child goes hungry. Tom Steyer, strong enough to take on the special interests crushing us with the cost of living. As governor, Tom will stop Wall Street from buying up middle-class homes, lower utility rates by 25%, and ban corporate PAC money from our politics. Other politicians talk. Tom Steyer gets it done. Ad paid for by Steyer for Governor 2026.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DePrima on First Things First.
Time flies on the radio. It's a Black Marriage Monday. It's lovely to hear about your 53 years of bliss, Venus Thomas, the fact that you guys are still in love 5 decades later. I know from my own conversations and experiences that most people fall out over money, child rearing, sex, religion. How did you guys navigate those tough topics? Did you figure everything out in those categories in advance, or do you just have a live and let live policy? Like, how do you handle those difficult issues?
Our way through them and both be of a mindset of, okay, well, we're going to work it out. We're going to sit and act like it's not happening. You have to be strong enough in the marriage to say, this is something. Another thing, people don't want to admit that they got a problem. It's like, well, this is a problem. Well, we got to work it out. We got to sit down and we got to figure it out. And it's not going to just take one, going to be over a period of time. And that's what happens, is that you agree to work things out. And the whole thing that you have to always remember is we are going to be together, so we better get it right. So we got to do this. We got to put in the work to get this done. And it's not involved. It doesn't involve other people. It does. I mean, you could get information or what have you, but you don't drag other people into your situation. You work it out together. And that's why I say when you start out, you have to marry the person who has a good head on their shoulders. Both of you guys have to be in sync in terms of basic life issues. And then the rest of it, you got to work it out. That's the part when they say, well, it's hard, because you each bring different things to the marriage. And so as we grew and as we went along, just like you say about raising your children and stuff like that, we had to fight those fights. We had to go through, okay, well, I think this about it, or I think that, and you can't be afraid to not speak up, but you lay it out there on the table and you discuss it. You don't yell and scream, and and if it comes to that point, you got to know to walk away. But all of these things evolve. It's not something that happens right at the beginning, and that's the part that they say is the tough road in a marriage, is you got to work it out. You two got to put your heads together and sit down and say, okay, we got to come to the table. We got to make an agreement. And if you can't make an agreement, there's the problem. You have to you got to be intelligent about it. You got to be intelligent people and say, well, this is something that we can work out, and we have to work out if we want to move forward. And you got to know those things. So you got to have a certain intelligence in the relationship to understand what's ahead of you, and understand that, God, we got so much to give and so much more life to live if we get through this. And you will. You'll get through it, and you'll be like, I look back now, and I know that there were some rocky times. I don't particularly remember them because the good times so outweigh those times.
Only got about 60 seconds here. Venus Thomas, the New York Times had an article yesterday talking about how fewer and fewer people are getting married at all. There are 111 million single adults now in the U.S. compared to 70 million in 1990. What is the reason you would give for people to step into a marriage at a time when it seems to be falling out of favor with the younger generations?
I think that it just was a certain kind of, I know people say, well, it's just a piece of paper. It's not so much that, it's your soul. When you get married, I think you put your soul and your heart into the relationship. which is a lot more than, if you're just living together, that's cool if that's what works for you. But when you get married, there is a deep commitment. I mean, and you feel it. I can remember we were both sitting, we got married in Vegas, and we were both sitting, there's a picture of us, you're not supposed to see each other before the marriage, but there's a picture of us both sitting, and the looks on our faces, we were both in, it was very pensive. We were sitting next to each other just before we were going to go in the chapel, and the look on that photo showed everything. It showed the fact that we're getting ready to make a deep commitment, and it's beautiful in that aspect. And we knew it. We both understood that we're in it.
Well, thank you for sharing this morning, Venus. It's very inspiring.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for all the work that you do for the community, Dominique. We love you.
Yeah, absolutely. Tavis Smiley's up next. He's got a fully loaded Monday show for you. You do not want to miss it. I will see you on social media, KBLA 1580 and the Prima Radio. Until tomorrow, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. President Trump is threatening to completely destroy Iran's oil infrastructure, including Karg Island, if a peace deal isn't reached and the Strait of Hormuz isn't reopened.
I would say we're ahead of schedule on the ballroom. We're ahead of schedule with Iran.